Claudius II, also known as Claudius Gothicus, was the 45th emperor of the Roman Empire, ruling from 268 to 270 AD. His reign, although short, was marked by significant military victories and efforts to stabilize a Roman Empire in crisis. Claudius was born in the early 3rd century, though precise details about his birth and early life remain scarce. He was a member of the Valeria family, which had produced a number of notable military figures. His birth name was Marcus Aurelius Claudius, but he became known by the title Claudius Gothicus after his victories against the Goths. Claudius's early life remains largely unknown, but historical sources suggest that he served in the Roman military. By the time of his ascension to the throne, he had achieved the rank of general and had earned a reputation for his skill in combat. During the crisis of the 3rd century, the Roman Empire faced internal instability, external invasions, and economic decline. Several emperors during this period were assassinated or overthrown, and the empire was divided into numerous smaller, warring territories. This period, known as the crisis of the 3rd century, saw a string of emperors, many of whom held power only briefly, leading to a weakened and fragmented empire. The Emperor Gallienus, who ruled from 253 to 268 AD, faced several challenges including rebellions, military defeats, and threats from barbarian invasions. In 268 AD, Gallienus was assassinated, and Claudius was declared emperor by his soldiers. He immediately set about addressing the most urgent threats facing the empire, particularly the incursions of Germanic tribes and the Gothic threat along the Danube frontier. Claudius II's reign was most notably defined by his military prowess, especially his victories against the Goths. At the time, the Goths were one of the most powerful barbarian groups in the region, and they had been raiding Roman territories for years. In 268 AD, the Goths, under the leadership of King Neva, had invaded the Balkans and crossed the Danube River, threatening the heart of the empire. In response to the Gothic invasion, Claudius assembled an army and met the Goths in battle at the famous Battle of Naissus, modern-day Niš, Serbia, in 269 AD. This battle proved to be a decisive victory for Claudius. His forces defeated the Gothic army, and Claudius himself was credited with playing a leading role in the battle's success. According to the ancient historian Eutropius, the battle resulted in the death of the Gothic king Neva, and the Goths were forced to retreat across the Danube. This victory earned Claudius the title Gothicus, meaning Gothic, a recognition of his triumph over one of Rome's most formidable enemies. His victory at Naissus was seen as a turning point for the empire, as it helped restore some degree of security to the eastern provinces and bolster the morale of the Roman legions. Claudius also dealt with other threats during his reign. He faced challenges from rebellious usurpers in the western part of the empire, including the breakaway Gallic Empire, and he had to defend the empire's borders from multiple barbarian groups. His military successes helped stabilize the Roman Empire in the short term, but his reign was still marked by the broader challenges of the 3rd century crisis. Although Claudius II is primarily remembered for his military victories, he also made some efforts to stabilize the empire domestically. His reign was relatively short, and detailed records of his administrative policies are scarce. However, it is believed that he worked to strengthen the authority of the central government, ensure the loyalty of the military, and secure vital resources for the defense of the empire. He would have been involved in the selection and promotion of key military commanders, especially in the aftermath of his military victories. Additionally, Claudius worked to address the growing crisis of the empire's finances, which had been severely strained by years of warfare and instability. Some historians suggest that Claudius implemented reforms to ensure the continued functioning of the imperial bureaucracy, but the specifics of these measures are not well documented. One significant aspect of his reign was his support for the Roman military and the soldiers under his command. As a general who rose to power through the military, Claudius understood the importance of maintaining the loyalty of the army. He recognized that the military was the backbone of Roman power, and he likely ensured that soldiers were well compensated and that their needs were met during his reign. Despite his successes, Claudius II's reign was tragically cut short. In 270 AD, after only 2 years as emperor, Claudius fell ill, possibly from the plague, which had ravaged the empire during the 3rd century. He died in early 270 AD, leaving behind a relatively young and fragmented empire that continued to struggle with external threats and internal division. The Roman historian Zosimus claims that Claudius was not able to lead further military campaigns due to his illness, and his death marked the end of a brief but notable reign. He was succeeded by Aurelian, who would go on to further stabilize the empire and address many of the problems that had plagued it during the crisis of the 3rd century. Claudius II's legacy is primarily defined by his military victories and his role in temporarily stabilizing the empire during one of its most turbulent periods. His defeat of the Goths at Naissus was a landmark event that earned him widespread acclaim and solidified his reputation as a skilled and capable military leader. Although his reign was brief, Claudius helped to restore some degree of order to the Roman Empire and served as a precursor to the reforms of Aurelian. Claudius's posthumous recognition as Gothicus reflects the lasting importance of his military achievements. The victory over the Goths was significant not only for its immediate impact on the empire's security, but also for its symbolic importance, as it reaffirmed the Roman Empire's power to defend itself against foreign threats. Despite his military successes, however, Claudius II's reign cannot be considered a full restoration of the empire's former stability. The broader crisis of the 3rd century continued, and it would be left to later emperors like Aurelian and Diocletian to implement the more lasting reforms that would ultimately bring about the empire's recovery. In terms of his personal life, Claudius II's relationships and family connections are not well documented. It is believed that he never married or had children, which may have contributed to the instability of his succession. His untimely death left the empire in need of a new leader, and Aurelian, his successor, would go on to further shape the empire's future. Although Claudius II's reign was short-lived, it played a key role in the history of the Roman Empire during a period of great instability. His military successes, especially his defeat of the Goths at Naissus, secured his place in Roman history as a capable and effective leader. His efforts to stabilize the empire in the face of internal and external threats were crucial, even if they were not enough to fully resolve the crisis of the 3rd century. Claudius's legacy lived on through his military victories and the foundations he helped lay for later emperors, most notably Aurelian, who would continue the work of restoring and reforming the empire.